I'm Carrie Zeier. Welcome to Luxury Legends and Leaders. We're here every month bringing you some amazing content, and it's all about breaking into luxury real estate or taking your business to the next level. Today are two of my favorite guests. They are two of our ambassadors, and I would love to bring them on the show and introduce them to you. We have Vic DeCaro and Jacob Weaver. Come on in. And today, hey, Vic. And
hi.
Jacob popping in here. Hello. Today we are going to be talking about some of my favorite subjects, which is breaking into luxury, but also the power of your personal brand, social media, and really how we could use those community and events and taking your business to the next level. So again, welcome, Vic and Jacob. And I would love to hear or let our audience know more about you both and what area you are in the world, and really a little bit about how long you've been in the business when it comes to real estate.
Okay, great. So I'll go ahead and get started. I'm Vic DeCaro out of the Northern Virginia, DC market, and I've been in real estate for almost 26 years. Hard to believe that that's been so long. It's been so fun. But I basically in this Northern Virginia area, I have a team. And one of the things that I'm always excited to share with people is when I joined EXP, I was able to build my business from 38 million to 93 million in just 2 years. And that was a lot of the resources and the people that were here. So that's my little story.
I love it. Amazing. And definitely we will want to dive into how you built that. That is an amazing number of how you did that, but also how you did it within luxury, within the price point and moving those price points up. So Jacob, I know you're across the world from us. Vic and I are on the East Coast, and you're coming in from live on the West Coast.
That's right. That's right. So I'm just here in the Seattle Bellevue market. So I'm in the very tippy top northwest corner. We've been in real estate since about 2012. Although we had, my wife and I, we had a little bit of a different start. We came from the investment side of real estate, so a little bit different. We had a couple different segments of our business over the years. It's definitely changed a lot. The branding has changed, the systems have changed, the strategies have changed for us personally. So started in 2012 and here we are.
I know. Different market, huh? Way different from 2012. So when you both started in, again, two areas of really the United States, did you start in luxury, or was that something it evolved? Like, how did you become, because we get asked all the time, how do I become a luxury agent? Some, and I've interviewed a lot of agents, some are very intentional with it and some sort of fall into it. So which category are you both in?
I fell into it. So mine kind of happened organically. I didn't set out to be a luxury agent. And I really actually still do work all price points. My team handles all of that. And I think really it's from the level of service that we bring and the referrals that I've gotten. And just through the events and being in the community has really helped me kind of grow a reputation. And people say, wow, well, you can help us with this as our first time home. Then when they move up, I help them again. And being, like I said, 25 plus years, now when they're moving up to their really like dream home, I help them. And that brought me into the luxury market. And then, it just kind of grows from there, and friends through there kind of just got the referrals.
I love that, because and I think that is a very common way to do it. And like you said, when you, especially being in the business as long as you have, when you are out there doing an amazing job building that sphere of influence, and then you have the move up buyer or, the seller, and those are wonderful. Okay, Jacob, did you fall into it or intentional?
Yeah, no, it was very, very intentional for us. And I think part of that was we came into luxury, I think, at a lot younger age than many people, right? We didn't have the time in business to kind of see our clients transition and level up price points. And so we had to fast track it. And it was actually out of necessity. That's where our story begins. Back in 2018, so I kind of mentioned we came from investment real estate. We had number of flips. We used to have a model that was very different. We find investment opportunities, work with investors, and then we list back the property when it's nice and pretty.
Right.
That was the core model. And then we started purchasing properties ourselves. And in 2018, we had about 6 projects, excuse me, that were not going as planned. They were not going as planned. So we had a lot of leverage, and we had a lot of exposure. And so in 2018, early 2019, we were very intentional about how we change our revenue model within our business. And we live in an area, the Seattle market, if you haven't heard, is expensive.
Yeah.
And so we do have inventory that, our median price point is right around, 600 right now, in the county. But we've got luxury real estate all over. Our price points, our typical decent area, starting point is like $1.5 million. And that's a pretty regular house. And so we have inventory that the commission income is actually can be a lot better than some of these lower level fix and flip opportunities.
Mm.
Right.
And so we decided back in 2018, we really had to change our model to get a lot less exposure, a lot less risk. And then on top of it, I just like the deal making much better than
Yes.
So that's how we got into it, was really just changing our business model to drive revenue in a different way with a little less risk and more in the skill set that that I like to play in, right?
And I like that you said, having that big why and understanding, I had a big why as well. Mine was always involved in luxury real estate, but my why is what drove me. And I think that drives a lot of us. And, when we say luxury, again, if for anybody listening, it is definitely a service. It's a higher level. It's not all price point, because like you said, Jacob, 1.5 million in Seattle is a whole lot different than 1.5 million in Nashville, Tennessee. And I think, Vic, you can say that, and I know the Virginia, that market, up where you are is different than some of the southern states. So again, it's not all price point driven, but as you said, Jacob, raising that price point does help you when you are looking at your business model as a luxury realtor. So as we are talking about for those breaking into luxury, or maybe you're already in luxury, but you want to raise your price point, because maybe you are selling $1 million, $1.5 million, but you want the 3 million, the 5 million. What limiting beliefs, if you had to say that we all have some sort of limiting beliefs that we've had to bust through. And if you are helping another agent right now, or maybe you have a story of your own, what are some of those? Because I know, if we look at how many agents in America really do luxury real estate, it's a small percentage compared to how many realtors there's out there. So what are some of the limiting beliefs that you have busted through for yourself?
I can
Vic,
go.
do you want to start?
I can go. I think for me, in the beginning, because I was working with so many friends and we were younger, we were doing first time. Oh, am I getting flipped again?
Yeah, you are.
No, how did that happen? Okay. Let me see if I can fix that. That's a little bit distracting here.
We'll flip you back.
If I go out, it might flip me back. Hold on.
I'm not sure.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
Okay. Well,
we're seeing you from all angles.
Okay.
Let's see. Jesus,
maybe Jacob can do this while I try to fix this.
Yeah. I'll jump in.
Okay.
So coming in on the younger side of most luxury agents, we sold our first multi-million-dollar property at mid 20s, which we did not have the track record, to be honest. And I think that is one of the limiting beliefs that a lot of people get stuck on, is they say, well, I need to sell 100 homes in the median price point before I'm capable of selling something in a higher price point. Yeah. And I think it comes down to service and market knowledge. And those two things can get you a lot further than you realize. Everybody gets caught up in well, I haven't done this price point. I'll do it incrementally. I'll do it over time. And really, it is something that if you change your mindset and you set up how you do business and how you talk to people and how you are very intentional about your relationships, you can jumpstart that. You can cut years off of that process without necessarily the full track record. Yes, you have to be capable of negotiating. You have to be capable of actually closing transactions, right? I'm not saying it's the same, but you can supplement that that track record with your market knowledge and that service level. It goes a long way.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
You know, because so many people, when they even join the luxury division, you know, they're like, what do I need to do first? And I like what you said, market knowledge will take you a long way. You know, it's being the expert in your area. And it's not necessarily like all over Seattle. It's that area that you're focused on. And I think when you really focus in on a, you know, definite specific area, you know, maybe a suburb of that, and really become the expert in that before you start expanding. I think, like you said, that is the way to go, and it will take you as further than what people think it will if they're just casting an open net, you know. So Vic, what about you? Limiting
so I was
belief.
going to piggyback on what Jacob was saying. So when it's the track record, so was working with mostly friends, we were first time home buyers and all that. And so I felt like I didn't have enough experience to help. Though I knew other people and my older siblings and other folks that had luxury homes, I've been around it. I just was a little bit nervous about it. And myself not owning a luxury home at the time, I felt like if I wasn't living that lifestyle and I wasn't, you know, also out there having that track record, that I couldn't do it. So it's really about that mindset. And in addition to that too, just not having the resources. And that's what, again, makes eXp Luxury so amazing, is that the tools really elevate no matter what level you are, and you come in, all of a sudden you are elevated and you're looking so much more professional. For me in the beginning, I just didn't have all of those resources. And so I gravitated to what was more, I guess, comfortable for me. And I think that's what most people do, is what's comfortable to you. And so it was intimidating. It's not that I didn't want to get into that market, but I was intimidated by it. Mm-hmm.
And I think another myth is, and to me, there's no right or wrong answer for this, is do you only sell luxury or do you sell all of real estate? And I think, like, let's dive into that part of it, because, you know, for me personally, I am one that, yes, I have always specialized. That's been my big niche of luxury, but I have done everything. I have flipped homes. I've been an investor, like you said, Jacob. I have always sold real estate because that is the core of what we do. But I do think there's a myth out there that you're only selling luxury. Like I said, there's no right or wrong answer here, but let's give some insight to our listeners on this.
Yeah.
I have strong feelings about this topic, actually.
Awesome. Yeah. I love it. Go for it.
I think one of the ways that agents get stuck in a rut of the price point they are in is that they continue doing the things to get more business in that price point. And it sounds really simple, but you really do have to shift that intention of how you are outreaching and who you are talking to. And that minor shift will elevate your price point, you know? And so to me, the answer to your question is yes, of course, we sell everything. We sell everything. We apply our luxury service and brand to all of our clients. And so what happens inevitably, if you shift your outbound effort to a higher price point, you'll get more higher price point. The other stuff, the lower price point, will continue to come, and it actually becomes much easier to close. Like if I go into a listing appointment for an $800,000 property, that's like bread and butter. Bread and butter. You go in there with your other sales, you're like, yeah, I just sold this for 3 million and this one for 4, and this one we got on the market for 11, the one that I'm sitting in right now. And it's like you can go into an $800,000 appointment with crazy confidence. And when you're competing against other agents, the confidence matters. So as you level up your price point and as you start planting flags and continuing to set your own bar, the lower tier price points gets a lot easier. And so I just shift all the outbound effort to higher price point. Everything else kind of falls into place.
I love that. And confidence, absolutely. It's crazy how it does boost your confidence on all levels. You know, I love that you brought that out. Beck, what do you
Absolutely.
think?
I mean, I agree with that. It's where you put your attention is where things will grow. For me, I was very fearful of saying, hey, I'm just going to be a luxury agent because we had all price points. And in my market, I had heard a few people say, oh, well, you're in that area. You seem to be focused on that area. You know, I was just going to refer you business, but I don't think you would want an $800,000 listing. And I'm like, yes, I would. I would absolutely. You know? So I
Yeah.
think the messaging, and we, you know, on this topic of social media, I think it's what you convey to the consumer. It's so important. What is the message you're putting out there? And so you know, I say I have a luxury division because I don't want them to think that we only do luxury. If we want to go in that direction full in, I absolutely agree with
Yes.
what Jacob's talking about, because that is really his focus. And by the way, that is your price point in your area. There's barely anything but luxury in your market, right? It seems
Exactly.
like that. But in my market, I was afraid of that a bit. But when I kind of switched my mind to say, hey, let's build out the luxury division, and we have that, I could speak on both sides. Whereas the other one, I had this very kind of confusing message. And I had to get really intentional and clear to consumers of it, because I have clients that refer their children to us, right? So we work with and people that are become empty nesters and they downsize and they want to sell their luxury home, but they also want to buy, and they're thinking, well, you wouldn't want to work with us in this price range, right? And I'm like, absolutely, we help everybody no matter the price point. So, but I think your attention of where you focus your time
Mhm.
is really important, especially if you want to grow that area, and where you go to, the places that you show up makes a difference.
And I love how you said that as well, because that is a concern with a lot of agents of, you know, we get asked, but what sign do I use, you know, for the for sale sign? If it's not luxury, you don't use the luxury sale sign, you know,
Right.
and I always say my, analogy to this is, how many of you have ever had two listings in a subdivision where part of it is more of the luxury part of the subdivision and the other's not? And I think, you know, it's awesome to have the two different signs, because what better way to communicate that? And like you said, Big, really using the power of social media, defining, you know, who you are and all that, which is a great segue into that. You both are amazing on social media of today. I think, you know, it is obviously one of the best tools out there when it comes to marketing. So as we shift in, you know, we're into luxury, whether you're straight luxury or you're doing both. And I love how you said the luxury division. Let's talk about the power of social media. Have you always been good at it, or did you intentionally learn to say, hey, I've got to do this, because it obviously is a game changer in your business?
We were not always good at it. Not at all. I went back. There's a gentleman in our rev share organization, amazing guy. He actually brought a deal that we're co-listing together, and we were joking around. We were talking about content, and I had this house. It was a 1980s party house back in 2000, probably 1920, and it was one of the first YouTube videos that we did. If you go to our channel, it's actually still up there, and it's a funny one. But you could just go back and you can look at it, and it was goofy. It was totally goofy. And we're trying to highlight this very unique 80s party house, right? It had like all sorts of decks and water fountains and koi ponds and outdoor bars. It was a ridiculous house. And so we're like, well, let's try some social media. You never know. And it was like kind of our first attempt at tapping into, you know, YouTube videos, and it was goofy. It was totally goofy, and it's
so
evolved.
for your goofy, did you get any views on it? Do we have any likes from it?
We got 500 views from it, and if nothing else, it gave like we all start in first grade, right? We all start in first grade, and so you can't get to second grade without going through first. And so, if nothing else, it was trial and error, and we got out there, we did the thing to start the momentum, to actually give something a try and have real feedback for what that meant in our business. And so it has evolved a lot since then, and we do it very differently, and we approach it very differently, and we've got a much better team in place. It all evolves, but that first one was super important.
Yes, and it got you going. Vic, what's your story? Have you always been good at it, or
Oh
How
gosh.
did you evolve to who you are now with social media?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was always good at it. And even now I'm a work in progress. I feel like it's still, I'm still learning every day. Jacob, that party house sounds awesome. Like I do a
I
feature on that
know.
today. I
I'll
would
send
do
you the video. You'll get a kick out of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
like that kind of stuff is what I like social media that way. And I think again, the confusing message that I kept getting was you can't do that on social. Don't do that. And I'm like, and that's where it was really hard for me in the beginning was when I was starting and I would be at an event or a party and I'd have a cocktail or whatever and they're like put your drink down before you take the picture. I'm like, ugh. So then I was so curated or and so I didn't feel comfortable and natural.
Mhm.
That made it harder for me. But when the minute came where people are saying, people like authenticity, just be real, be whatever. And I used to, believe it or not, if you guys go on my social media, it looks like I love selfies. I used to hate selfies, but now I don't mind them. I like them because they actually do very well. They perform very well because people want to see your face in there instead of just beautiful pictures of things. That's great, but they really want to see you in whatever video or photos that you're posting. So that's how it's evolved for me because in the beginning I was trying to curate and do something, and I think the perfectionism that we all try holds us back. So social media was slower for me because I was scared of it. I was scared of judgment. I was scared to do it wrong. We were all just trying to figure it out. But the rules kept changing. So every time I thought I knew something, it was like, nope, you're not supposed to do that. Oh, and do I have my own personal one? Do I get a separate business one? And so I think at the end of the day, in real estate, it's a very personal business and people at all levels want to be cared for. And they really want to know you as a human because they're opening up so much to us. So they just want to know who you are and you just have to show up real. Now, do you have professional photos and videos? Of course, absolutely. But you have to show and sprinkle in a little bit of both. And that's where I feel like I've evolved and gotten better because I finally said, okay, I'm throwing out all those rules and I'm just going to do this and I'm just going to be who I am. And you're going to attract the right people because the people that may not like some of the other things, then there may not be the right fit. And there's so many different great agents to pick from. But you really do find your tribe, your people, the right clients and stuff. And that's what people are looking for because at the end of the day, all things equal, what's the differentiator for them? It's probably who are they going to have the best time with in this transaction. That's, for most of my clients, that's what they end up picking is they said, all these things look great. Who do I pick? We picked you because, we wanted to have fun along the process. so that's
Vic, I know you were in Scottsdale with me when we were at the Top Producer Mastermind there, which was incredible, by the way. And Jared James spoke, and he said so much that I took notes for days. But one of the things he said is what you said, that your picture, your selfie will always, to me, outperform your other things, and I'm like, I agree because, and for so long, we've tried different things. I know I have of what works, but when they can see you, hear you even better, you're talking on a video, those outperform to me anything else you can do. So I definitely picked up on that when you said it. We talk about all the ways to win on social media, and I love AI now because if you haven't done it, go ask AI to rank you. I ask it to rank me weekly, and then I get mad if I have a low ranking. I'm like, oh my gosh, but it will also tell you then what to do. But one of those things is consistency, of course, and the quality. So if you had to pick a camp, obviously if we can do both is amazing, but do you do more high quality or are you just more consistent every day putting things out?
Ooh,
I know that's a tough one because we need to, I know the answer is, oh, I'd love to do both. But in reality, it is tough. And I mean, unless we've, got all these people we've hired to do it, but a lot do it, and I think the authenticity behind it is when you are doing it yourself, you are writing your content, So
I think the personal branding part of it is really important to be consistent. So, I used to think quality over quantity. That depends on what you're talking about. When it comes to social media, it's actually the opposite. Weirdly, it's about being consistent, putting it out there. Done is better than perfect. So done is better than perfect. It really is. And then, but show them that you have access to, and you're going to make all these quality videos and everything else, but they want to see whether you're going to put it on stories or somewhere else. Because some people will say, oh, I don't want to put that on there. It doesn't look pretty, because they want all their Instagram things to look so pretty. Then put it on your stories. Show a little bit of your highlights of that on your stories. If you don't want to, only on your profile, you want to have all the pretty ones from your professional videos.
Right.
But I think the biggest piece is that you need to be posting it multiple times. And Leo mentioned that in his talk in Scottsdale as well, is it's not just one a day. Like, we think once a day is a lot. It's supposed to be like 2 or 3 times a day, even more. And what better platform, because this is free. Like, you know how expensive it is to do billboards, commercials, and all that. Social media is basically free. I mean, you can boost it and pay for that, but in general, you have this wide audience, an opportunity to go out there and do that. You should be doing it. And so for me, it's I'm learning to be more consistent, and just reminding myself again, done is better than perfect.
It gets better as you go.
Mm-hmm.
You get faster, and you get more refined, and you get better systems, and you get better team members, but you can't build that muscle without
doing it.
Without doing it. Exactly.
Well, and if you think about the clients, and I want to shift to that, you're posting out here to get clients, right? I mean, the first thing anyone does, I think of today, is go to social media to look that person up, whether it's LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, wherever they're most comfortable. But so are you putting more video tours? I've got notes down here, behind the scenes stuff, lifestyle posts. What do you think for luxury, attracting that luxury client? What has resonated with your sphere?
So I'm gonna take a slightly different angle on this, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
I think when you're posting for clients, when you're posting for clients, it's easier to get in your head. Yeah. Just hear me out.
That's true. Yep.
When you're posting for credibility amongst your peers, different story. And for me, I have a relatively small following, but it's tight.
It's mighty.
It's mighty. And what I'm finding is that the more I post, I do get clients from it. They trickle in. Absolutely. It's a credibility builder. However, when other agents that I will be negotiating with, writing offers with, doing business with, come into my open house, they know who I am. Right. And to me, that's actually a greater form of leverage than actually driving clients, because these are people that we, especially in the luxury marketplace, there's like 20 agents who are doing like 60% of the business.
Always.
And it's all like that in probably every market, where there's like a core group that are like, okay, I see you, I respect you. We're not going head to head. We're collaborating because we're working with all the same clients. We're selling the same inventory. It's a very tight community once you get to the upper price points. And so the credibility of them knowing who I am before we start a conversation, before I write an offer for a client, that actually gives you a different negotiation standing point. And to me, I love negotiating, and I love the nuance of how you actually get a deal done. The salesmanship, I love it. And so for me, that's been a really, really powerful aspect of social media. Just like walking into a room and be like, oh, hey, that was a really cool video you did. Or, hey, it looks like you're killing it. What do you have in your pipeline? It's like, that's a totally different way to start a conversation with an agent that's producing than being on your back heel. And so for me, that's what I focus on more than the client side.
And the clients come.
The clients come, they look at your social media, they look at what you're doing. We send them the videos that we're pushing out for marketing. They love it. They love it. Yeah. But if you focus on like, how can you position yourself in a better spot to do business with the people you will do business a lot with, it's valuable.
No, I agree with that. And I loved your angle on that. And, for anybody that is breaking in or even trying to raise their price point, I mean, and I know this sounds crazy, is don't be that secret agent. And so, and basically, like you said, you're not definitely just going for your client. You are more putting out what you do, which again attracts that. So no, absolutely love the angle of that. But, like you said, we do have, I think, Vic will be right back on, but we have the power of social media is huge. Vic, any from you of how you've used it and how, are you getting business from your social media, or is it more proof of concept? Like, this is what I do, how's that working with you?
Yes, I actually, it is amazing how much social media, it's proof of, everything. Credibility, I think, is a big part of it, but amazing how much, if you're engaging with the audience. So if they're commenting or liking and you actually speak back to them and they send you a DM that you're communicating, that's how the business starts. It's building the relationship, right? And I forgot that in the beginning. I thought, oh, I just have to go post. And post and ghost, and that was it. Just post, and I still need to work on that, going in there and having conversations. But when you have conversations, the DMs is where it really starts. And I've gotten really great business from that, and referrals from other agents. So what Jacob was saying is like talking to your peers. Well, a lot of times when I'm posting, it is my peers that are reaching back out to me, and they're interviewing to refer business that people are relocating in or out of the area. So I think it's really important to do a combination, not just one thing, but like a combination, and sprinkle in some personal in there along with the professional photos and videos. I do some featured community videos as well. And I think for the newer agents out there, let's say if they don't have a lot of listings right now that's higher price points, if you're visiting or previewing places, video while you're there, take pictures while you're there, go to model homes. Those are all things that you can be doing. And let's say you're on vacation, take the beautiful videos and pictures when you're there. If you're staying at a Four Seasons, take pictures and videos there and use that B-roll. So, and you can use it in just even, I think a lot of times agents forget that it doesn't all have to be live in real time. Get the B-roll and you can post it later. Just capture as much content as you can and then do that. For all of you that's watching this right now, take a selfie, take a video, and tell the audience, what are you doing? You're spending time because you're building your luxury business, and you can post that. And that is something else that people want to be secret about it. Don't be the secret agent. Show them what you're doing, and that's your focus. And you'll be surprised how many people are rooting for you and want to help you.
I love that.
Can I expand on that really quick? I know.
Absolutely.
I've got a couple more questions. Vic, you're talking about going to tour higher end real estate. Mm-hmm. That is a great starting point. You get the content, absolutely. But I also feel like if you're going to break into higher price points, you have to get really comfortable with the inventory. Yeah. Like you have to reset your caliber, your internal thermostat on like what is nice and what is actually not that nice, and just because it's a, $8 million listing doesn't mean that it was done well. And it doesn't mean that it's the same caliber as this other $8 million listing. So what you're talking about is not only important for, branding and showing people that you're actively engaged in that segment of the market, but it also will reset your calibration, right? When you actually go to show that first client or have an open house at an upper tier price point, you're not going to be intimidated by the product. Right. You'd be like, yeah, I've been through 100 houses like this. And it really does reset your internal temperature gauge for like what is standard, right? Right. Being in a $5 million house, if you can make that standard for yourself, it's a lot easier to be confident and to speak intelligently about the market, to actually tell a client they should go see a house. You're like, look, I know the product and I feel good about it. I know that this is good. I know that this is bad. Here are the nuances between types of materials, layouts, construction styles. Like what you're talking about is like gold if you're trying to build your general understanding of the luxury.
And it gives you so much content to, like you said, not only the market knowledge, content to go back on social media and share this, and it's great content. So we've got social media, and there's so much we could talk for days about just really building your brand on social media. But let's specifically talk about your personal brand. Do you feel like you started with a personal brand? You feel like it has evolved through, because when we talk about social media, you are your brand. We are all, to me, you're the brand. But how have you spread that to your own personal brand? Or do you think that's tough to do? And I'm a believer that all luxury agents especially need that very strong personal brand, because it makes social media easier. So what's your take on it? Your personal branding, how hard is it to get? Did you fall into your brand, or did you, again, intentionally go after it?
I can go. Okay. So I mean, personal brand is always important. I think when I decided that I'm going to have the luxury division, I became more intentional in posting the things that I thought was considered luxury. So,
Right.
so, Carrie, and you and I had talked about, the events and things that I do and the places that I go. I belong to a tennis club and a golf club, country club, and I wasn't posting that much about it, but then I thought, well, I guess I should be telling a story, and it shows it's that I'm actually in these places. I go there and I go there for fun, and yes, I have business there and such, but I wasn't really posting about it. So when you're talking about credibility and proof of success and things, I think you have to show that too. So I mentioned earlier, if you're on vacation, you're staying at a beautiful place, show that too, because it's a lifestyle, and people want to know that's something in common that they may have with you. And
Yes.
so that is, became more of a intentional thing for me. And just in personality, like people know I like to have fun. So one myth that people have about luxury is that it needs to be so serious and
Pretty.
so not fun. So that was another piece when I was thinking about luxury. I'm like, I don't know if that fits me because I'm a little goofy. I'm a little, I like to have fun and whatever. And I went on a listing appointment and someone told me, there's different flavors for everyone. And they said, you know why we picked you? We know so many agents. We picked you because you are kind of normal and down to earth. And I was like, yes, thank you. I want to be normal and down to earth. I don't want to
Yes.
feel and pretend to be who I'm not. And so that gave me permission to basically be who I am in my personal branding. So.
And I do think personal branding needs to win when you're thinking about, do you have a personal brand? It is what you said. Who are you and what do you like? Because we attract to those that are more, like what we are interested in. I have always been, I love sports. I love it. And I've always been a sports and entertainment agent from day one for 20 years. That's what I've done, but that's what I like. I like going to hockey games. I like going to football games. I enjoy that. So I think it's not, we had a talk yesterday on, breaking into luxury. And as you said, so many people think they need to go to the opera or the art galleries and all that. And if that is what you're interested in, absolutely, because that is high net worth individuals. But if that's not you, then it's just not going to be a fit. So, Jacob, what about you? Personal branding?
Yeah, I think when somebody says personal branding, first of all, we all have a personal brand. It just might not be the one that you are intentional.
Right.
Everybody has one, and people are thinking things about you all the time. But everybody, when you say personal brand, I think a lot of agents start to say, okay, hey, what are my colors? What's my font? Which is important,
right,
and consistency. But I really do feel like you have to take a step back and define your core values first. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing. Like, who cares what your logo is? Like, if it represents the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't spend that time to really be self-aware. Like, what are the things that are non-negotiables for you in life? What are the things that you will go out of your way to accomplish above all else? Those need to be woven into your personal brand. So before you go and you redefine colors and logos and social media posts, like, if you define the 3 to 5 pillars of, like, what are your core values? What are the things that, and it's going to do a couple of things. It's going to make developing your brand a lot easier. Because you'd be like, well, does that look good? It's like, no, that doesn't look good because that's not in line with the core values. Like, that's not what we're posting, right? So it'll get a lot easier to develop the content, but also it will start to weed out a lot of clients. Like, which is, I say that in a positive way. Like, I don't attract, clients who want to go party on a Thursday night because one of my core values, like, I have 3 little girls.
Right.
I'm putting them to bed. Part of my business, like, I don't go out and party with people as part of my business because it takes away from my core value of putting my kids to bed. Like, that's, in this point in my life, like, that is a core value that I'm not giving up. And so I don't attract those clients that put pressure on me to live experiences that, like, I don't really want to do. And so when you can get and eliminate or not even attract those types of clients, your life gets a lot better. Life gets a lot better, and it's easier to find the people that you do connect with and the people that do have similar, like you're saying, Vic, like you got hired because you connected with core values. Your core values were, jiving with those clients. And that's a beautiful thing to be able to let go. We actually just broke a relationship off with a builder, left a townhouse project on the table because he sent me a very disrespectful text at 10 o'clock at night because I didn't respond when I was putting my kids to bed. Like that's, and like that disrespect, I was like, I don't care about your
Not
townhouse.
a good fit.
Yeah.
It's okay. I left money on the table. Felt great. Great.
Well, I think that's part of being a professional for sure, is having those boundaries. And like you said, we all come from different perspectives, different core values, but knowing what yours are is powerful in this business, because like you said, otherwise, you've got to do anything that is painful is not sustainable. So, and I always look at it, you've got to set your business up to be sustainable in this business for all these years, so excellent points with that. I know we've got one more quick topic, and then we'll definitely, if there's any questions from any of our listeners, we'll take some of those. But events and networking, we've talked about breaking into luxury, the power of social media, this personal brand that I think we all, always are working on, always really putting it out there and really solidifying who you are in the market. Events and networking, though, I feel is huge. And I know both of you have had very big success with it. Jacob, you did the rally in Seattle. You and Elizabeth did an incredible job. I know, Beck, you've done the rallies and you speak at these big events. How has that helped your business? And if somebody is looking in, like, how do they break into that? Maybe they think they're not good at it, or maybe they're worried about speaking. Because there's two things. There's the events and there's the networking part. What would be your advice?
I would say for both, start small. Don't go all, it depends on your personality. Some people, they don't train for the marathon. They just run the marathon. If that's you, that's me, my personality. I'll just go hike Mount Talent without training and get to the top. But not everybody will do that. And so I think you start small, you do what you love, and then plan an event around it. So Jacob was just talking about kids. That's what I did when my kids are little. So I'm at a little bit different stage in my life, Jacob. I have my daughter's in college and my son is about to be basically graduating. He's a senior. And so we're going to be empty nesters. So when the kids were little, everything revolved around what they were doing. So all our events was around the kids' sports. All the stuff was the Girl Scouts, Boys, whatever that they were involved in was what we were planning events around. And then as time went on and the kids become teenagers and they're not wanting to hang out with us as much, we had to find things. And we're like, wow, we need to really discover what our hobbies. And so I really got into tennis. And so I planned little tennis gatherings, and golf is my new thing. I really love golf. I started with like Operation 36. And so, little events like that. But way back before, I would do things like, even host people. Let's say you did a sale and you wanted to meet the neighbors, host a housewarming party, for your buyers. So we did that. And then we were able to meet the neighbors and the community. And so that's where you can start small and then build out, because our events now are really big and we do community events, we sponsor community events, but it didn't start there. So I just want to remind people, like if they're looking on social and looking up our stuff, we started off very basic but doing what was close to us. So like when the kids were little, Santa parties, because I wanted the Santa that really looked like Santa and not blow the cover for us. So we hosted Santa parties and people would come take pictures at our parties and post it. And so that was really great for social media and people would use it for their holiday cards and such. So I think the easiest way to do it is something centered around what you were going to do anyway, and then build from there. Yeah.
Love that. Great advice.
That's really good. That's really good. We all do that in our own way. It just looks a little bit different. I think if you just take the lens of like, hey, I'm being intentional about what skill can I build on in this setting. For instance, like a lot of people have school friends or parent friends, right, from school. You can just set up a weekend charity activity and use that time. And if you're intentional about it, you're like, hey, I'm going to give a 5-minute little introduction to what it is before we go, do whatever event we're going to do. And I'm going to use that 5 minutes to practice being in front of people. And I'm going to work on my speech patterns. I'm going to work on my vocabulary. I'm going to work on like being in front of the 5 parents that we're going to do this event with. It can be as little as that. And we all have opportunities like every day to do exactly what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. That's good.
I love it.
Mine also started small and in a different way. I actually used to play music. And so I've played hundreds of live shows in a past life. And so in real estate, I had this kind of eye-opening moment. I was sitting there talking to my wife, Elizabeth, and it's like, I've been on stage and done these things in the music capacity, in the music world. And I've built that skill, being able to read a crowd and understand, the energy in the room and all of that. And so like, why don't we actually apply that to help agents? And so for us, we started with a small room for attraction and for our own downline. It's like, all we were doing is just doing a training, 45-minute, hour-long training, get up there, talk about something you know about. And that was how we built that momentum. And it started in front of 5 people at a time. And then Carrie, as you said, now we're throwing events with 300-400 people.
Yeah. And if you have an open house or you're going to do an open house for someone, create a big event around that open house. That's no better way to really bring attention to it. And then you can have it photographed and have a videographer there, make it fun for people to come join. You could do food trucks, whatever. But really, if you have a great listing or someone needs help with a listing and it's, a beautiful luxury listing, do everything around that and build around that. And it's just so much opportunity. And again, if you have that opportunity, I would try to circle prospect around that listing and do as much as you can and, events and networking with the neighbors.
This has been so amazing. I just love everything, all this valuable feedback. And I know you guys are in the trenches and doing this daily and really getting out there and just doing an amazing job. And again, you are 2 of our ambassadors for eXp Luxury and really just great, not only great humans, but great spokespeople or speaking about luxury and really expanding it in your market. So as we are getting ready to close up, I would love to just peel back the curtain for a minute. And, we're always working on our businesses. For me, I would love AI to give me a 10 one week on social media, but I'm still going to be working on it. But in all seriousness, what is something either fun or big that you're working on? Like, what's the next level? What's the next steps? Is it to get that bigger listing? Is it to, what are you working on? And we'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, well, I'm working on a lot of different things at once, but the big thing that I'm working on right now, I would say 2 things. So I'm finally getting comfortable with doing video, and I'm still not super comfortable, but I entered a contest from the Scottsdale event. And it's funny because the contest is like, are we going to do videos or are we not going to do videos? And so it's posting something every single day, which is hard to do, but posting a video every day. So I'm doing that right now. And it's the whole done is better than perfect. So I am doing that, which is going to make me more comfortable to do more video because I've been asked to, and thank you for asking me to speak here in Miami. I actually get really nervous in front of the camera and in front of people. And I love to talk, I love to share, I love to teach. But whenever I feel like it's being filmed or whatever, it makes me really nervous. And so what better way than to enter a challenge? Just do it. And with that challenge, because I'm competitive, I'm going to actually really do it and not overthink it. And so that's what I'm working on. And that's given me opportunities to hopefully get into some of the markets that I want to get into. So
I love that. And yes, Vic and Jacob will be joining me in Miami at one of our breakouts, and we'll be diving deeper into building that personal brand. So we're excited about that. Jacob, what are you building? What's your next thing you're working on?
Next thing that I'm working on. So we've been in a systems revamp for about 18 months now. So we have really, really been dialing in that level of service. So anywhere from how we set up, listing, talking cards, that experience, like walking into a house, all the way to client retention. So we've been working really hard at that, which has been great, kind of in the background. But on the forefront, we're still improving content, and we actually brought on this amazing team member about a year and a half ago. She's been with our organization, our business organization, for about 5 years. So huge shout out to Emily. She is really getting creative with some of the content we're pushing out. And so we're actually trying to build out her support system to increase consistency and increase output. So we're trying to figure out how to break our business from a content standpoint. Who do we need to hire next in order to support her in doing the things that she's doing, because she's having fun with it and we're having fun with it. And so more cinematic type videos, more storytelling, more narrative driven content. And so we're adding some pillars into what we're releasing. And so just figuring out how to support our team in that way. That's kind of a fun project that we're working on.
I love it. Well, thank you both for coming in today, and thank you to our listeners out there. And if you have questions, be sure to connect with all of us. We are all on Instagram, is probably one of the best ways. Of course, we're on LinkedIn and everything else. But if you've got some direct questions, feel free to reach out to Jacob, Bick, or myself. And as always, we just want to thank you for pouring into our real estate community. This one is not about any one brokerage. This is about our industry, and really pulling together and giving the best knowledge, market knowledge, as we talk today, and the service to our clients everywhere. So again, we can't thank you enough. Thank you for tuning in to Luxury Legends and Leaders, and we will see you next month. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, Carrie.
Bye. Thank you.